Arionne Curry once again found herself at the center of chaos, tears, and confrontation. What started as another Instagram Live quickly turned into a heated, emotional breakdown that had social media buzzing. Many felt like they were watching a woman who still hasn't found peace after all these years. The conversation, meant to be transparent, spiraled into raw emotion, frustration, and old wounds that just don't seem to heal. And through it all, Arionne's name was once again tangled with Melody Sherry's, the woman whose life and marriage were forever changed by the same man they both once trusted. Arionne sat there on Live, her tone jumping between defensive and emotional, trying to explain, justify, and plead her case. It's been years since the affair with Martel Holt came to light, but the shadow of it still follows her every move. Even now, people don't let her forget the title that came with her choices, the label of being the other woman. And no matter how much she tries to redefine her image, the past keeps echoing back louder than anything she says. During this live, you could feel the tension through the screen. Married women joined her conversation, trying to speak woman to woman, not out of hate, but out of confusion and disappointment. They wanted to understand her. They wanted to hear accountability, to see growth, to witness humility. But instead, what they got was a mix of anger, defensiveness, and hurt. Arionne kept repeating that people never gave her a fair chance, that she was talked about on TV, on blogs, on YouTube, yet never given her own platform to speak her truth. And maybe that's how she really feels, silenced, misrepresented, and judged by a world that already made up its mind about her. But even in her effort to explain, Arionne ended up proving the same point that people have made for years. She's still stuck in the story she says she wants to escape. Her words circled around Martel, Melody, and that show she claims to have no connection with. Yet every sentence she spoke led right back to it. You could hear the exhaustion in her voice, but also the pride that won't let her fully admit the wrongs that started all of this. When she said she wasn't given a fair chance, women in the comments reminded her, the show wasn't about her. It was about Melody and Martel's life, their marriage, their business, their home. Arionne wasn't a cast member because she was part of the storyline of betrayal, not the foundation of that story. As the conversation went deeper, one married woman told Arionne directly, "I just wish you would take accountability. Just say you were wrong. Not wrong with an excuse, not wrong with a but. Just wrong." But that word, accountability, seemed to be where everything fell apart. Arionne snapped back, asking why wives always blame the other woman instead of their husbands. She demanded to know why she's always painted as the villain, while Martel gets to walk away with sympathy. In her mind, she was manipulated, lied to, and dragged into something she didn't fully understand. But at the same time, she admitted that after finding out he was married, she still stayed. And that's where people lost patience, because by her own words, she knew. She found out, and she stayed. She continued. She fought for him. She loved him. She bore his child. And now she's crying out the consequences that came from that decision. You could see it on her face, the frustration of someone still fighting to be seen as a victim, even though she was part of the storm. Throughout the live, her emotions shifted. At moments, she was calm and soft-spoken, then suddenly defensive, snapping at the women who tried to reason with her. "Don't judge me," she said through clenched teeth. "Y'all don't know what I went through. Y'all don't know how that man had my head gone." Those words hit heavy because they revealed something deeper. Not just arrogance or pride, but a deep pain that's never been resolved. It's like she's been trapped in a loop, still trying to justify what can't be justified, still trying to make sense of a love that was never built on truth. But the internet doesn't forgive easily. The comments rolled in fast, calling her delusional, calling her bitter, calling her out for still coming for Melody after all this time. And the sad part is they weren't wrong, because even when she says she's moved on, every live, every rant, every breakdown still circles around the same name, Melody Sherry. It's as if Arionne can't let go of competing with a woman who's already left the battlefield. Melody has moved on. She's focusing on her children, her businesses, her peace, while Arionne still sits online, trying to explain a story that ended years ago. The contrast between the two women couldn't be more clear. Melody glows in grace, strength, and peace, while Arionne seems to carry bitterness, resentment, and exhaustion. And it's not because of hate or jealousy. It's because one woman learned to heal, and the other keeps reopening the same wound. The world has watched this unfold for years now, from secret calls to exposed texts. From interviews to meltdowns, from confidence to breakdowns, Arionne has played every role except the one that would actually set her free: accountability. When she said, "Y'all want to see me break?" you could almost hear her breaking right there. Maybe not from the comments, but from her own reflection. Because no matter how many people she tries to convince, deep down, she knows that peace never comes from defending pain. You can't build peace out of chaos, and you can't build love on betrayal. And as much as she tries to separate herself from that storyline, she keeps reliving it through her own words. Even when women tried to show her compassion, she turned it into confrontation. "Why do wives always take it out on the other woman?" she asked over and over. But what she doesn't realize is, no one is asking her to take the blame for what Martel did alone. People just want her to stop acting like she was innocent. Because the truth is simple. She wasn't just a bystander. She participated. She made choices, and every choice came with consequences. The pain you could hear in her tone wasn't just about Martel. It was about being judged, rejected, and reduced to a name that represents the very thing she never wanted to become. But every time she speaks, instead of healing, she reopens that chapter. Every time she says, "They didn't give me a fair chance," she forgets that respect is not something you get by demanding it. It's something you earn through humility, reflection, and honesty. When one of the women told her, "You're a beautiful woman, you have potential, you could rise above this," Arionne's face softened for a moment. There was silence, like maybe she wanted to believe that. Maybe she wanted to imagine a world where she wasn't defined by the affair, the drama, or the show. But moments later she fell right back into defense mode. She started repeating, "But y'all don't know my story. Y'all don't know what he told me. Y'all don't know how he pursued me." And right there, everyone watching could see the cycle. She's still caught in the same emotional trap, needing to be understood, yet unwilling to let go of the pain that keeps her stuck. The truth is, no one owes Arionne understanding anymore. The story has been told, the damage has been done, and the lessons have been clear. What people want to see now is growth, self-awareness, and peace. Not another live, not another excuse, not another defensive rant. People want to see her rise, but rising requires letting go. Rising requires silence. Rising requires peace. Every time she goes live, every time she tries to explain her side, she drags herself right back into the mud. She says she's over Martel, but she talks about him every time. She says she's done being associated with Melody, but she brings her up again and again. She says she doesn't care about the show, but she blames the show for ruining her life. And that's what makes it so sad, because it shows she's still emotionally tied to a past that's not letting her breathe. Meanwhile, Melody's glow keeps getting brighter. She's not shading, she's not posting rants, she's not responding. And that silence speaks volumes. Because when God elevates you, he doesn't do it through noise. He does it through peace. Melody is walking in her peace, while Arionne is still wrestling with the pieces of her broken story. As the live went on, you could see Arionne's energy shifting. Her tone became shaky. Her words stumbled. Her voice cracked. It's like she was trying to convince herself more than anyone else that she's fine, that she's happy, that she's moved on. But her eyes told a different story. One of regret, confusion, and a spirit still unsettled. At one point she asked, "Why do y'all think I haven't moved on?" And the answer was right there in her actions. Because moving on doesn't require saying it. It shows in how you live. It shows in how you speak. It shows in what you don't respond to. And Arionne's every move still looks like she's trying to prove something to people who stopped listening long ago. When the wives spoke gently, telling her they didn't want to bash her, but wanted her to heal, she still took it as an attack. You could feel how fragile she is underneath that defensive armor. She's still carrying the weight of public shame, the embarrassment of being labeled the other woman, and the heartbreak of loving a man who never really chose her. That's a pain no woman should carry forever. But the problem is, she's not letting it go. There's a difference between healing and hiding. Healing means facing yourself. Hiding means blaming everyone else. And for too long, Arionne has been hiding behind explanations, interviews, and lives. She says she's misunderstood, but every time she's given the chance to bring clarity, she brings chaos instead. And at this point, people aren't listening to understand. They're watching to see if she's learned anything. But it's not just about Arionne. There's a deeper lesson in this for everyone watching. When you step into someone else's pain, you inherit that pain too. When you break something sacred, that energy follows you. And when you hurt someone who didn't deserve it, life eventually brings that lesson right back to your doorstep. That's not hate. That's law. And right now, life is teaching. Melody walked away and found peace. She didn't fight for revenge. She didn't fight for approval. She didn't need to explain. She just walked away and built a new life. That's what healing looks like. That's what real power looks like. And that's why the contrast between Melody and Arionne is so clear today. One woman healed, the other is still fighting ghosts. As the live ended, people noticed that Arionne looked exhausted. Her tone softened, her energy dropped, and her words slowed down. It felt like she had finally run out of defenses. Maybe she realized that arguing with strangers online won't fix the pain inside. Maybe she realized that the story she keeps retelling is the same story that's keeping her stuck. The sad truth is, until Arionne truly lets go of that chapter, she will keep reliving it in different forms. Breakdown after breakdown, live after live, explanation after explanation. She doesn't see that the healing she's searching for isn't in defending herself, but in forgiving herself. It's not in blaming Melody or Martel or the show. It's in finally saying, I was wrong and I'm ready to change. But until that day comes, every tear, every rant, every defensive word will just sound like echoes of a past that refuses to die. Because peace doesn't live in denial. Peace only grows in truth. Arionne may be beautiful, smart, and full of potential, but until she stops coming for Melody, until she stops justifying pain, until she stops running from accountability, she'll keep breaking down publicly while pretending she's rising privately. The internet doesn't forget, but it does forgive, and all people want is to see her rise with grace, not fall from pride. In the end, this entire situation is a lesson about choices. You can't claim peace while holding on to chaos. You can't heal while defending the hurt, and you can't demand respect while refusing to show humility. Melody's journey shows that God blesses peace. Arionne's story shows that holding on to bitterness only leads to breakdowns. So maybe this wasn't just another life gone wrong. Maybe this was life trying once again to show her the mirror. Because until she faces herself honestly, the world will keep reminding her. Not out of hate, but out of truth. You can't come for someone who's already healed, and you can't drag someone who's already at peace. Melody's silence is her answer. Her glow is her revenge. Her peace is her proof. And as for Arionne, until she learns that real strength isn't in defending her mistakes, but in admitting them, she'll keep breaking down under the same weight she refuses to put down. Because in the end, no matter how loud the noise gets, truth always whispers the same message. Peace will never live where accountability doesn't exist.